Hello again, YouTubers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Board Game Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and showing you how to play Yamatai. Now, Yamatai was published by Days of Wonder and is a game designed by Bruno Catala and Mark Pakian. Now, this is a game that is listed as a 2 to 4 player game for ages 13 and up and for 40 to 80 minutes. Now, I'm going to start there. So at the 2 to 4 players, this game actually plays very well at 2, 3, and 4 players. There is a slight difference in the 2 players versus the 3 and 4 players in that there is a initiative bid that you do, and at 2 players, each of you has 2 tokens, 2 meeples to bid twice, and you each take 2 turns during a full round rather than just one that you would do in the 3 and 4 player game. But it feels like a minor adjustment just to make the rounds feel a little meatier at 2 players, and actually plays just fine. I like it actually equally well at 2 and 4 players. Now, the ages 13 and up is probably a good estimate. There's a lot of pattern forming here and a lot to pay attention to, so you do want someone who's at least around 13 years of age to get this game. And the 40 to 80 minutes is actually a pretty good estimate. Most of the games I've played this come in around an hour to a little over an hour. So that does feel about right to me. Now, let's have a look at some of the things that come in the box. So the first thing we've got here is the rulebook. Now, the rulebook is gorgeous. It is full color. It is filled with diagrams. The setup is very clear and very well done. Generally speaking, I don't really have any problems with this rulebook. It has lots of examples, lots of diagrams. I had one minor issue with the fact that the symbology in this game when it comes to prestige points, which are your victory points, differs on different components. And there was one component where it took me a while to figure out that what the number was prestige points because it didn't look like the prestige points on the other components. But other than that, the rules and the components are pretty well done. So next we have in here, we've got this little Days of Wonder catalog, which I always like it when they include these. I like that these are making a comeback now. And then we have some player boards. Now the player boards do differ based on color because you pick whether you want to be the blue player or the purple player or the orange player or the gray player, and they will match buildings and a meeple of those colors. However, there is no actual difference between these other than the artwork and the color. This is a thoroughly symmetrical game. They have all the same abilities and do the same things on their turns. The next thing I pull out of the box here is the board. Now, I feel this board requires a little bit of extra attention paid to it while doing this review because I think it's gorgeous. And it gets even more gorgeous with all the different color pieces out on it. This is a game that looks really, really cool while you're playing it. You have lots of islands. It's also very functional. They have spaces that are perfectly sized and spaced for putting pieces on them. The islands are nice and big and clearly defined. There's no ambiguity about where you can put different pieces. And there are lots of spaces on the board for certain components that you will see when we are showing you how to play the game. Next, we've got a bunch of cardboard punch-out tokens. Now, if you've seen cardboard punch-out tokens, you've seen them all. Here are some coins that are cardboard punch-out coins. Here are some prestige tokens. This one is a blank. It's the same on both sides, whereas usually the prestige tokens will be a color on one side and a blank on the other because you have to set them up randomly and then flip them over. And then we have some mountains, which are nice cardboard punch-out mountains, some prestige point counters. These are the specialists, which if you have played the game of 5 tribes, these will be very similar to the Djinns in 5 tribes. They give you, you are able to purchase them through during your turn, and these will give you extra abilities or extra ways to score at the end of the game. You also have building tokens, which have a number that shows you how many prestige points you get for them, as well as how what color buildings you need around an island to build this building. You collect this when you then build a standard building on that island. We have the fleet tokens. These are used to bid for initiative. They have the initiative marked down there. And they also give you free ships and a free special ability that you can do on your turn, which are clearly marked there in a language-free manner. There is a cheat sheet in the rule book for what each of those, as well as the specialist, does, because some of them can be a little tough sometimes to figure out, but the cheat sheet is handy and we always keep it nearby. Then we have tons of chunky wooden pieces. We have 1 or 2 meeples for each player, because when you're playing 2 players, each player gets 2 meeples for the turn order, whereas when you're playing 3 or 4, you each get 1. And we have buildings. The buildings are very nice, these big chunky wooden pieces here. They look great. We have these specialist buildings, which are palaces and torii. These are even bigger, even chunkier. This is a palace, and this is a torii. And then we have wooden boats. Now, the different colors of boats are meant to represent different commodities that are being traded throughout the islands of the Kingdom of Yamatai. It's a fictional fantasy world based on Far Eastern legends and mythology. And the different colors are to represent different sorts of materials that you would trade on those islands. So green is bamboo, brown is wood, red is clay, black is stone, and yellow is gold. And that's basically everything that comes in the box. So now we're going to head over to the table. I'm going to run you through a few turns and show you how you play this game. Then we're going to come back. I'm going to talk about how this game feels. I'm going to review it and rate it, and then we're going to get a second opinion from Lynn. Okay, so here we can see a 3-player game of Yamatai set up and ready to play. So the first thing you want to do is put the board out in the middle of the table, shuffle up all of the specialist tiles, and deal 5 of them out onto the board. You also want to shuffle up the building tiles, Lynn points to those for me over there, and deal out 5 of them next to the board over there. You also then shuffle up the fleet tiles, put 5 of them face up over here, 5 of them face down over there, and shuffle up all of these prestige tokens, which you originally put on face down. Flip them up one at a time. If they have a mountain symbol, you put a mountain where they are, and there is one blank with a mountain that gets a mountain, and all of the blanks are pulled off and wind up being empty on the board. You also then shuffle up the 1-player meeple for each player and put them in a random turn order to start with over here on the turn tracker, and each player gets a player mat, coins, and a number of buildings. The number of buildings is based on how many players you are playing. At 3 players, that would be 8 buildings. And then you're ready to play. You also, of course, have to have your extra resources and the boats and such all next to the board. I have the box over here next to the board with the prestige tokens and coins in it for if we need it. And then you can play. Now, the player mat has a very helpful language-free cheat sheet of all the sequences of the turn. So the first thing you do in your turn is you're going to take one of the fleet tiles. Then you have the option to buy or sell 1 boat. Then you have the ability to place boats. When you're placing boats, you can place a string of them on the spaces on the board. You can either start at a space that shows a boat next to it. That is a starting space, these ones here. Or you may place, starting with a boat of the same color, next to the same color that is already on the board, and we'll show you that in a minute. Once you have placed, you either get to pick up 1 adjacent of the prestige tokens next to each of the boats you placed, or if you get a number of boats around an island that does not have a prestige token on it, you may build a building as long as the boats shown on the building tile here match the boats that are around that island. You would then take that building tile, put it face down in front of you. It'll be worth prestige points, which are like your victory points at the end of the game, later. Then, in addition, you can get bonus points and bonus money based on certain circumstances, like building on top of mountains, or building multiple of your own color buildings next to each other, or building next to these special prestige buildings here. Then you're allowed to save 1 boat for the next round, and extra ones are going to be worth negative victory points at the end of the game. And the final thing you do on your turn is you're allowed to purchase 1 of the specialists, either for 2 like color prestige tokens, like these 2 pinkish ones here, or for any 3 prestige tokens. After everyone has gone in the turn order, you do the end of turn cleanup, which allows you to replenish all of the various tiles that are out there, and then you start over for the next turn, the next round. So now we're going to run you through a few turns and show you how this goes. So we go in the order of the meeples here. So Lynn, you got to go first randomly. So what are you going to do on your first turn?
I am going to take number 6.
Number 6.
Now take my dude.
And you take your guy. Now number 6 gives you show that to the camera. It gives you a green boat and a brown boat, which I think is bamboo and wood shipments. And then it has an ability, I think, to swap 2 of the prestige tokens if you want, which might be really good right now because then you could get 2 like color right away to possibly buy a specialist right away. Which actually that's a really good. Really good starting ability. No wonder why you chose it. So why don't you take your bamboo and your wood there. And okay, and which ones are you going to swap?
So I'm going to swap these 2.
Good choice. Good choice, because now you got the 2 reds that are easy to get. Or is it pink? I'm not really sure.
It looks pink to me.
Okay, so go ahead, and then the next. Well, did you want to buy a boat or sell a boat?
No, I think I'm just gonna place these guys.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna go 1, 2.
Okay, so you started at the starting space, and then I'm guessing you're going to pick up those 2 reds since you've set yourself up nicely to do so.
Yes.
Okay, and then I'm taking a wild guess here that you're going to immediately buy a specialist. Which one did you have your eye on?
This one.
Michimata.
Michimata.
Now, what does Michimata do?
I can give, I can discard, what are they called?
A prestige token.
A prestige token for a gold boat.
That is a really good ability. No wonder why you wanted Michimata. Okay, so Lynn, you are done with your turn now. So now it is my turn. So I'm going to take... I've decided that I am going to take the number 10 tile because it allows me to get 1 red, 1 brown, and 1 boat of any color. I'm going to use that to get a gold boat along with the brown and the red. And then...
you have to take your orange guy back.
Yes, thank you. I will take my little meeple back. Then I am not going to purchase any. I don't need to purchase any. I got 3. I mean, I'm doing pretty well here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to continue off of your chain here by placing a wood boat next to your wood boat here, followed by the brick and the gold boats there. And I'm also going to pick up prestige tokens. I'm going to pick up both orange and a beige prestige token. Then after doing that, I am going to use my 2 orange prestige tokens to also purchase a specialist because I can. And I have decided that I would like to take... I'm going to take this specialist here, Izanami, which says that later between the rounds we put coins on the specialist, and anytime you take a specialist who has coins on them, you get the coins, but once I have Izanami, I get to take half of other players' coins when they were to collect those coins. So that's a really cool ability. So I'm going to take Izanami, and then I am going to be done. And then the third player here is going to collect their meeple, and they are going to take... Let's see here. They're going to take number 9, which gives them a wood boat and a stone boat, as well as the ability, if qualifying this round, to not need one of the particular buildings needed to qualify, their choice of which one they don't need. So they're going to take a look over there because there's actually quite a lot already out here. So let's see. So they're going to place a wood and a stone boat here. And then what they're going to do is they're going to build, and they're going to use their ability to not need one. They're going to build the this building here that needs 2 gold and a clay boat. There's 1 clay and a gold. They're not going to need the gold because of their ability, which lets them build there. They build their first building, and that is going to be worth 4 victory points at the end of the game. So they're going to place that face down in their area. They did not get to buy a specialist because they didn't collect prestige tokens, but they have gotten a jump on us on getting victory points. So now at this point, we're going to do the cleanup phase. So during the cleanup phase, the first thing we do is we put 2 coins on every one of the specialists that are still out here. So we put some on there. 1, 2. There we go. Then we place out new specialists to fill out the row. Then we draw new building tiles to fill out the building row. And then we need to redo the turn order track. So I place mine on number 10 because number 10 was the fleet tile I took. Number 9 was the fleet tile purple took, and Lynn, you took number 6. Mm-hmm. We slide these down. All the ones that wind up in the first 5 get flipped face up, and then the ones, these ones get slid down, and then the ones we took get shuffled up face down real quick. Give them a quick randomizing, and placed out on the board face down. And then we are ready for the next turn. So in the next turn, Lynn, you get to go first again. So why don't you go right ahead?
Okay, let's see. I'm going to take 8.
Okay. Now 8 gives you...
A green and a red, and I can swap...
2 boats already on the board.
I'm not going to swap anyone, I don't think.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do is... I'm going to place here and here, and then I'm going to build this guy.
Okay. Here. So now that is a regular, yes, one of your buildings. Okay, very nice. And how many points is that worth at the end of the
3.
game? Okay. All right. So are you all finished?
Yes.
Okay, so it is now Purple's turn. So Purple's going to take their meeple back. And they're going to take... Let's see, which one would they like? They're going to take the one that gives them the gold boat. The number 5, which then they get a gold boat. And they also get a sacred land token, which they can put somewhere. And no one is allowed to build on the sacred land spot. So they're going to put that here so that nobody can build there on the sacred land spot. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then they are going to buy a boat. So they're going to spend 2 of their coins to buy a boat, and they're going to buy a green boat. And then when it is time for them to place their boats on the map here, they are going to place a green boat here on this starting space, and then they are going to build a building. Now they have the 2 green and the brown, the 2 bamboo and the wood boat, that is, that are needed to build this trading post. Now, when you're building adjacent to other buildings you already have on the map, if they're all connected like these 2 will be, you get coins equal to the number of buildings that are connected. However, when you build a trading post to do it, you get double the number of coins. So in this case, they will get 4 coins, which makes that a very good build for them. So they're going to get their 4 coins. And then they're going to place their gold boat that they got on their 1 save space. You're allowed to hold on to 1 boat between rounds, and they are all done. So then it is my turn. So I'm going to take my meeple back from the track here, and I am going to take this one here, which has the ability to look at the top 3 buildings and place them back in any order I want. It is the number 3, and it also gives me a stone boat. So I'm going to take the stone boat. I'm going to look at the top 3 buildings from the building deck and take a look and see what we have. These are all fine with me. I'm just going to change the order they're in and put them back. And then I'm going to purchase a extra boat here. Let's see. No, you know what? I'm going to stick with just the stone boat. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go there and take this token here after which at the end of my turn I'm going to turn in the 2 tokens to take one of the specialists out here. I've decided I'm going to take Izanagi. He gives me 2 coins that were already on him, and he allows me to do purchasing or selling of boats twice on my turn. And then that will be it for my turn. And then again, we are going to put all of our meeples back out in the order. I go on turn 3. The purple player took the number 5, and we do it all again. We replenish the rows, we put the extra coins on the specialist, and we keep going like this, building buildings and getting building up points and manipulating the combinations of colors of boats and emptying out the islands so that we can build on those islands so that we can keep getting points. Now, you do get bonus points for certain circumstances. Now, for instance, if this was already gone and someone had built this amazingly valuable 6-point palace on this space here, anything built next to this space, for instance, if I built there, will be worth a bonus prestige point, and I would collect a bonus prestige point token for building there. Building on a mountain is also worth a bonus prestige point. So now building on this mountain next to a prestige building is worth 2 prestige points. And that is one of the main ways to get you bonus prestige points. The other variety of prestige building is the torii. It's an archway here. And for instance, if you were next to a torii, next to a palace, and on a mountain, that would be 3 bonus prestige points. And that is how you play the game. Now, there are 4 different ways, 4 different main ways that the game will end. One is when if a player plays their last standard building, you finish out the round, and then the game is over and you count up points. Another is if there are no boats of one of the colors remaining at the beginning of setting up a new round. The game immediately ends. Another is if the specialist track cannot be replenished at the beginning of the round because the deck has run out. And the final one is if the building track cannot be replenished at the end of the round because you have run out. If any of these things happen, the game will end. You will count up all of your prestige points from your specialists, from your face down building tiles that you have collected, and from your bonus prestige tokens. And whoever has the most prestige points at the end of this game will be the winner of the game of Yamatai. Now let's head back to the table, and we're going to talk about how this game feels, and we're going to review it and rate it. Okay, welcome back. So that was how you play a game of Yamatai. I took you through a few turns there so you could see some different turns of picking up prestige points as well as buying the specialists and building buildings on the various islands. And I mean, that's what this game is really about. And there's an interesting dichotomy here because you're clearing the prestige points for the islands so that, because you want to build buildings on them, but doing so often enables your opponents to build buildings on them as well. And you're putting boats down to get combinations for buildings that you want to build, but you're also setting up combinations that your opponents can take advantage of and build as well. And there's actually a lot going on here. It's a very simple game when it comes to the actual rules. You know, you do a few things on your turn, you're done, the next person goes. But there's more complexity with how the rules interact with each other and with trying to cut each other off and make sure that, you know, because you can cut off your opponent so that they can't continue a string of their own color buildings, or trying to, after your opponent puts down a big prestige building, trying to place a bunch of your buildings around it to get bonus prestige points for placing near a palace or a torii. And there's a lot of fun stuff here. I really like the mechanics here. Now, there is a lot of comparison being made between this game and Five Tribes, which was one of Bruno Catala's previous games that was an enormous hit. And whenever someone has an enormous hit, it is inevitable that people are going to be comparing the two. But I think a lot of the comparisons in this regard are a little bit unfair. Now, some of the side mechanics in this game do feel very similar to some of the side mechanics from Five Tribes. For instance, the specialists are a lot like the Jin from Five Tribes. The bidding for the turn order, but it's done in a different way. In this, you get to take a token which gives you resources and gives you an ability. But the bidding for the turn order feels similar to the bidding for the turn order in Five Tribes. But the main mechanics in this, the placing of the different color boats to set up a pattern of boats surrounding an island so that you can then build a certain building and collect its token and place one of your buildings on that island, is very different than the Mancala-esque main mechanic in Five Tribes. So the thing is, while there's been a lot of comparison between the two, since the main mechanic is different, I do feel it's a bit unfair to compare the two, and I do think if you like both games, there is room in your collection for both, and I like this game. I love Five Tribes. If I'm going to have to directly compare them, I don't like this game as much as Five Tribes, but I do think there's room in my collection for both. I thoroughly enjoy Yamatai. I've been playing it a bunch. It's a great game to play with people who aren't huge gamers because the rules are fairly light. It's a medium weight game that has a complexity of the basic rules of a lightweight game so that you can use this as the next step after some very basic card games or basic quick little light filler games that you teach someone who's new to gaming. This is also a game you can teach to family members who don't really play a lot of games except for classic games, and they'll get it. It's not that complicated, but it is crazy fun, and it's the kind of game that I've never had go over poorly. Everybody's enjoyed this game that I've played this with. It's been a relative hit for my gaming group, and everyone who I've played it with has enjoyed it. And for all those reasons, and for the fact that I would play this anytime someone asks, I'm going to give Yamatai 7 out of 10 stars because I thoroughly enjoy it. I would play it anytime someone asks, and it's going to stay in my collection. You know what? It can have a spot right next to Five Tribes, and that's fine. But let's get a second opinion. Lynn, how many stars out of 10 would you give to Yamatai?
7.
So Lynn is right there with me. We're both giving this 7 out of 10 stars. So if you enjoy the Far Eastern mythological theme, if you enjoy big chunky wooden pieces and Euro game mechanics, this is a game for you. I would recommend Yamatai to you. I would definitely say you should definitely give it a try if you like any of the things that I talked about today. But I'd always like to hear from you guys. So if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, either on this video or on the game of Yamatai, or if you have played Yamatai and would like to tell me if you liked it or disliked it, feel free to comment down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see us do more review and tutorial videos like this, be sure to give this video a like, share this video on any forms of social media that you may have, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelt with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.